In some place, a man was checking the records of various players, including Yui. 3 people entered the room, and the man expressed his disappointment to them. However, a woman called the Ebony-Eyed Witch assured him they would set things right and would immediately go to South Korea. Meanwhile, the army was transporting the remains of the fire dragon, and the chopper escort informed the convoy about an incoming tunnel. After the first truck carrying the corpse of the fire dragon entered the tunnel, the entrance suddenly collapsed. The people on the truck were informed that the others would take a detour. The driver agreed and decided to proceed. However, they saw a similar truck in front of them, confusing them. After feeling that something was wrong, the driver of the truck transporting the remains of the fire dragon decided to check the vehicle and open the cargo area. Unfortunately, they were ambushed by the people inside. The leader of the hijackers answered the soldier's radio and stated the time they will exit the tunnel. Later, the chopper escort saw a truck exiting the tunnel and instructed the others to follow the route, unaware of the events that took place inside the tunnel. Meanwhile, the hijackers drove the original truck out of the tunnel. At the same time, Seongri-young was attending an event when she noticed that the people around her were under a charm spell. Realizing that it was the work of a highly skilled magician, she then saw someone she recognized, the Shield Guild's guildmaster, Park Yuram, appear in front of her. Yuram asked Seongri-young why she wanted to get rid of their guild, and Seongri-young responded that the guild had committed crimes and needed to be punished. Yuram then asked if Seongri-young would incriminate her as well, and she released her power. Seongri-young maintained that if someone commits a crime, they would be arrested and punished, regardless of who they were. Yuram replied that Seongri-young was still as stuck up as ever and walked away, saying she couldn't wait and had always wanted to fight her. Seongri-young turned around to see that Yuram was already gone, and the people under the spell were released. She immediately ordered her subordinate to summon the security division. Meanwhile, Kaibong's team had successfully defeated the monsters, impressing Kaibong himself. He estimated that they could stop low-ranked dungeon breaks without him. However, they received orders to gather at headquarters because the remains of the fire dragon had been stolen. In an unnamed building on the outskirts of Seoul, the generals of the Republic of Korea's Third Army, government officials responsible for national defense and security, and Captain Kim Kaibong of the Special Dungeon Management Team had gathered. At the meeting, the agenda was focused on the case of the stolen fire dragon's corpse and the unauthorized entry of the Shield Guild's master, who was staying abroad. The group was shown pictures of the unknown group who stole the corpse arriving in the country and disabling the cameras. They were also informed that the guildmaster's deception magic was so strong that they only realized she had entered the country after checking the CCTV footage. Seongri-young expressed her dissatisfaction at the country's security being so easily bypassed. Seongri-young knew that Yuram's skills had improved and her deception magic was strong enough to control an entire airport. She then asked about the current location of the fire dragon's corpse and was informed that they were still analyzing the CCTV footage of the roads. However, the thieves seemed to know the locations of the cameras and were able to break them, making it difficult to track them down. Seongri-young became angry and suggested using other cameras, such as those in cars and even people's phones. One of the men at the meeting suggested prioritizing the search for the fire dragon's corpse, concerned that it might be taken abroad and the resulting backlash that they would receive. The value of the fire dragon's corpse was considered to be astronomical and it was impossible to put a monetary value on it. This was because no country or organization had officially cleared an 8-star dungeon before. Seongri-young recognized the concern of the people about the fire dragon's corpse, but she emphasized that they had no other option, with Kaibong being the only one available to pursue the Shield Guild's master. Seongri-young decided to assign Kaibong to work with the National Intelligence Agency to pursue the guild master, while Conway and the rest of the team would work with the military to track down the stolen fire dragon's corpse. Seongri-young emphasized the importance of the two incidents and solving them without the aid of other guilds. One person expressed concern about Kaibong facing the Shield Guildmaster alone. Seongri-young then called an agent Gu Juhai, who introduced herself to Kaibong. Some people were surprised by her sudden appearance. The director questioned Seongri-young's decision to call Juhai back without informing them. Seongri-young apologized and explained the urgency of the situation. The other people expressed doubt about Agent Gu Juhai being of help to Kaibong. The director then reminded them of someone called Tamer, who was able to evacuate Songnam citizens to safety without any casualties during the Battle of Songnam. It was later revealed that Tamer was an 18-year-old girl, who was then appointed as an agent in the National Intelligence Service. Tamer is known as Gu Juhai and is considered the greatest veteran agent in the intelligence service, working under her real name. After the meeting, Kang Wei expressed his frustration after hearing he won't be with Kaibong on their next mission. Ju Hai approached them and expressed curiosity about Kang Wei. However, Kang Wei noticed something about her and quickly hid behind Kaibong. Ju Hai smiled and made a comment about Captain Kim hanging around an insolent child, but corrected herself, saying that calling him a child wasn't quite accurate. Kang Wei was surprised that Ju Hai knew about him, while Kaibong was confused about their conversation. The island of Heavenly Evil is a notorious prison from which no one has ever escaped alive. This is where Park Darim was being held. A group arrived at the entrance, and the guards asked for their names. Park Urim declared that they were from the Shield Guild and stated that she was searching for her little brother. The soldiers at the island of Heavenly Evil were unable to stop the Shield Guild's progress due to Urim's magical abilities. The soldiers were confused about how the group had managed to reach the island, as they needed to pass through multiple checkpoints. Urim killed the soldiers blocking their path. As they progressed further, players and soldiers blocked Urim's group, but she warned them to step aside. However, a player stated that they were prepared and activated a spell that nullified Urim's deception magic and deployed battle drones. Urim, however, remained unfazed and laughed it off. Meanwhile, Darim was awakened by screams from outside his room, and a player crashed through the door. Urim's group greeted him as they entered the room. After a while, Kaibong and Ju arrived at the prison, which was in ruins. Kaibong received a notification from the system that there were no survivors inside, which he shared with Ju. When she asked how he knew, Kaibong insisted on going inside first. Once inside, they discovered the bodies of soldiers and players. Ju then summoned the rats in the area, which surprised Kaibong. However, Shiri assured him that they were friends. Ju was a tamer. A person with the ability to communicate with animals or plants, as if they were friends. This was an incredibly rare ability, even among players. Kaibong asked the system what Ju was doing, and it replied that she was communicating with the animals. Ju then informed Kaibong that, according to the rats, after killing everyone, the Shield Guild had escaped the prison and headed west. She was confident that even though Urim was skilled in deception, it would be impossible to trick everyone. Darim was curious about how Urim had entered the country and was worried that Seongri-young would come after them. Urim, however, warned him not to refer to Seongri-young as a sister, calling her ungrateful and accusing her of stabbing them in the back. When Darim asked what their next move was, Urim just laughed and said he would find out soon enough. She expressed her anger towards Korea for betraying them and promised to punish everyone involved, especially Gu Seongri-young and her followers. Darim expressed doubt about being able to defeat Kim Kaibong if they fought again. Urim thought that Darim had become a coward while she was away, but he insisted that they should go abroad. He also doubted that she could defeat Kaibong. However, he was surprised by Urim's strength when she grabbed him and wondered if she had always been that strong. Urim then revealed that she was not the same as before and was confident that no one could stop her. Ju-A used the birds to locate the Shield Guild's location. And Kaibong asked her about the master of the Shield Guild. Urim described the master as a scary person, one of the earliest to be awakened, and stronger and more cruel than anyone else. She added that the master did not hesitate to sacrifice civilians in order to gain strength and kill monsters. Kaibong was surprised that someone like her was able to act without restraint, but Ju-A explained that it was just how things were in the past. Kaibong and Ju-A arrived at the location of the Shield Guild, and Kaibong used the system to locate the people inside a warehouse. He proposed a plan to minimize casualties and gather information, deciding to attack from the right side. Ju-A was surprised by Kaibong's ability to determine the exact number and location of the people inside the warehouse. Kaibong and Ju-A entered the warehouse and were immediately spotted by the two guards who attacked them, but Ju-A summoned a cat that stopped them. Meanwhile, Kang Wei and the rest of the team were searching for traces of the fire dragon's corpse. The vice captain was doubtful about Kang Wei's action of sniffing the ground, but Kang Wei pointed confidently in a direction. Ju-A's cat defeated the guards, and they met Urim and Darim, who were surprised to see Ju-A. Ju-A's use of the TRM sister to refer to Urim made her angry, as she had already warned Ju-A not to use it before. Urim then pulled out a return stone and threatened to kill both Ju-A and Songryong. In response, Ju-A commanded her cat to attack, intending to stop her, but two of Urim's associates transformed into monsters and easily defeated the cat. Kaibong recognized these monsters were similar to the monsters they saw inside the dungeon. Urim then taunted them to stop her if they could defeat the monsters. The two monsters attacked Ju-A, Kaibong quickly destroyed them and then rushed towards Urim, who was activating the return stone. Kaibong attacked and was able to break Urim's barrier, but Urim and Darim were able to escape using a returned stone. Ju suspected that they were planning something, but Kaibong believed they couldn't have gone too far and prepared to chase after them. Urim and Darim arrived in Siyang, Gyeonggi-do, where Urim was shocked by Kaibong's strength and vomited blood. Despite her condition, she assured Darim that she was fine. Urim asked Darim to leave and rest, and the director of Shield Guild, James Lee, arrived and informed her that the mercenaries with the fire dragon's corpse were already gathered in the city. He noticed that Urim had become stronger and remarked that she would do anything to become even stronger. Urim then asked him about Kim Kaibong, and James revealed that Kaibong had appeared suddenly one day, and Shield Guild had failed to recruit him, judging him to be a threat. And they tried to eliminate him, but also failed. James also mentioned that Kaibong's younger sibling and father had died in a dungeon break, and his mother was in a coma. Urim then asked about Kaibong's relationship with Gu Cyangryong. To which James replied that there was nothing between them. Urim expressed her doubts about James' statement that there is nothing between Kaibong and Cyangryong, and believed that Kaibong must have been given something by Cyangryong. She then used a spell to affect the people in the area, and declared that it was just a beginning of what would happen when the country she had protected abandons her. Kang Wei led the team on a search for the thieves and pointed towards the city, but the team was doubtful about their presence there. However, Kang Wei insisted that his nose never fails him. The army following them also expressed their doubts, but the vice-captain asked them to trust Kang Wei. Suddenly, Kang Wei asked them to stop. After they got off from their vehicles, they were attacked by masked men. But the vice-captain intervened and stopped them. He is now convinced that they are in the right place, while Kang Wei was satisfied that he was correct and prepared to attack. In the battle, the Kang Wei's team had the advantage, while Kang Wei took care of the snipers. The leader of the army was impressed by their skills. The attackers were revealed to be members of the Shield Guild. However, the enemies injected themselves with something, and they gained more power and attacked again, but Kang Wei easily defeated them. Kang Wei was worried that he had interfered when he didn't need to, seeing his team was ready to attack, but the vice-captain and the team reassured him that the enemies were weak compared to dungeon monsters, and they were eager to catch the thieves. Yui announced a collaboration with a YouTuber named Jinda and ended her stream, but became worried that he wasn't answering her calls since yesterday. She then decided to visit him. The Shield Guild members who attacked Kang Wei's team were captured, while the vice-captain inspected the drugs used by the attackers. They were then informed that they had found the truck, but it was empty. The vice-captain instructed the commander to transfer the terrorists to the headquarters, while they continue their search using Kang Wei's method. Yubin was training his skills in a 5-star dungeon, but wasn't satisfied after seeing Kaibong's power. He then killed the boss monster and was later informed by his subordinates that they couldn't contact their members in Zhejiang. Worried, Yubin decided to go there himself. Ju tells Kaibong that she is sure that Urim will not be stopped without a fight, and they both assume that the ones who stole the corpse are also part of the Shield Guild. Kaibong questions why Urim hasn't taken the corpse abroad yet. And Ju explains that teleporting between countries must be impossible, and the National Intelligence Service believes that it is impossible to teleport the fire dragon's corpse due to its magical properties. Kaibong speculated about the purpose of the stolen dragon's corpse and remembered the humanoid monsters they encountered. Kang Wei called Kaibong and informed him that they had found the thieves, but Kaibong asked to speak with the vice-captain, who told him they were already heading to the location in Jiangjidu Saihun. Kaibong decided to head there as well. Ju asked if Kang Wei was the one who called, and when Kaibong asked her about him, she warned him about trusting Kang Wei too much. She then suggested they search for traces of Park Urim at the location. However, they were interrupted by the reanimated monster corpse that tried to attack them, but Kaibong quickly destroyed it. While Urim watched, the machine beside her began ejecting something. Soon after, the former officials of the Shield Guild appeared and greeted her, stating that they had carried out her orders. Urim thanked them, acknowledging that their success was due to their hard work, but then reminded them that she knew they had left her brother behind and fled, causing the officials to appear frightened. Park Urim gave the drugs to the previous Shield Guild officials and ordered them to inject it, promising that it would take them to another level. Despite their initial hesitation, they took the drugs and screamed, while Urim assured them that they would be the strongest ex-humans ever under the blessing of hype. Urim revealed her plan to use the fire dragon's corpse to make an army and destroy the country, then purify Korea to become the world of hype. Darim witnessed a scene and was confused. Upon arriving at her destination, Yui continued to worry about Jinda. She was surprised to see that the streets and shops were deserted. Suddenly, she saw something falling from the sky like snow and noticed that people were turning into monsters. The tiny particles triggered Yui's automatic shield, which is a defensive magic activated in response to sudden enemy attacks. She realized that these particles were responsible for the transformation of people into monsters and thought that it could not be a dungeon break as the government would have known about it. Yui resolved to find the root cause of the situation. While Yui was running, she encountered a child and followed him. Meanwhile, Kaibong carried Zhu. Upon landing, Zhu was relieved they arrived quickly. The system informed Kaibong about a magical abnormality and deception magic spread throughout the city, confirming that Park Yuram was there. The system also informed Kaibong that he had become immune to the status condition. Zhu noticed small particles and drank an immunity potion to resist enemy magic attacks. They saw people in the city turning into human monsters and Kaibong asked the system to analyze them. The system replied that they were infected with unidentified magic and that destroying the source could stop the process of transformation. Zhu asked if they should deal with the infected people but Kaibong said no, as they were still human and they needed to enter the city quickly and avoid battles. While they proceeded forward, Kaibong instructed the system to locate the source of the magic. The system advised Kaibong to reach higher ground as the inhibition magic was too strong. Kaibong left Zhu behind and quickly ascended a tall building where he was attacked by humanoid monsters. However, he effortlessly defeated them. Once on top, Kaibong requested the system to search for the origin of the magic and the location of Park Yuram. Meanwhile, Yuram sensed that Kaibong was already in the area. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue the next chapters and thank you for watching.